Hello, hello. Giving people enough time to come in. Thank you guys for your continual support. King Solomon Entertainment Company. Thank you guys for your subscriptions. Continue to subscribe, like, comment. We continue to be committed to bringing you great programming. Um, in Live in the Red is coming this fall, first of the year. Hollywood Now, great momentum, doing wonderful, as well as Philanthropy at its best, which is doing great. Thank you guys. We are on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. James Claiborne Interviews. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, as well as Instagram, King Solomon Entertainment Company, as well as Facebook Live, Facebook, King Solomon Entertainment, and Twitter, King Solomon Entertainment Company. Thank you guys for your continued support as we continue to bring you great, great programming. And so today we have another great interview with a wonderful organization. It's giving her time to come in, as well as allowing others to come in. And so, just thank you. We cannot thank you guys enough. We're definitely growing, and the momentum is moving forward. And so, we're just grateful for that. It's giving our interviewee time to come in. Oh, I see. Heart to you, my partner. Thank you so much. Heart to heart for you. Um, Thank you so much for your support and continual support in watching us. So, our guest is here. I'm going to click her in. So, excuse me while I go get our next interviewee in our next nonprofit organizations, because Philanthropy at its best. It's about celebrating and honoring nonprofit organizations as well as foundations and philanthropists, and how they are changing the world one person at a time. So I'm going to bring her in now. Thank you guys so much. Hey,
Hi, I made it.
thank you so much. That just happens, with technology, internet is a factor, the equipment, so you just got to be a little patient and just learn to keep rolling with the punches. So glad that you're here. Thank you so much for doing the outlet and allowing us to interview you. And we will start with the intro. Then, of course, you can introduce yourself and talk about your organization, and we'll go from there. But thank you guys for joining us for another interview with Philanthropy at its best, where we honor and celebrate nonprofit organizations as well as humanitarian effort, foundations, and philanthropists, changing lives one person at a time. And today we have another great organization. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself and her organization.
Okay. Hey, hi, my name is Gadella Petty. On social media, I'm Mary Angel. I am a nonprofit organization. I have an organization called Sons and Daughters Outreach Ministry. And I also have an organization, an agency called Professional Advocacy LLC, that is doing a variety of services for women and children, elderly, mentally ill veterans that are on the streets, homeless. Also, just providing help for domestic violence, women and children that are suffering that. And one of my biggest projects right now is I'm really focused on foster children and families, trying to bring them back home, bring them back into their homes, to try to help them with resources to help the families stay strong, to where they will not need the government to come in and take the children and remove them, but to help them bring the families together.
Wow, that is a big challenge that you have taken on, and it's so greatly needed, and we just commend you for that. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get involved and wanted to do this type of outreach?
Well, my name is Gadella, and I am an evangelist. I was a foster child. I was a victim of sexual abuse. I was a victim of foster care, and I say victim because I was more victimized in foster care than I was at home. sad to say, but that is the reality. I was a teenage mom. I had a baby at the age of 13. I basically had a lot of struggles in my life. I really didn't have an upbringing. I just grew up. I grew up. And so thankful to God, I had some strong people that I encountered, strong women, strong men that I encountered. And I thank God I gravitated to that. I always wanted a better life. I always wanted a home. That was a desire of mine. And so that helped me not get caught up in the tragedy of the traumas that I had to face. So I just persevered through all of that. Bad divorce, you know. So I made it through that. Thank God. I can't take credit for it because at times I didn't know where I was going and what I was going to do. I've given up so many times throughout my life, but he always, when I threw the towel out, he threw it back.
Wow.
So
Wow. So you have turned your tragedy into triumph, and you now are using your life experience and your heart and your passion to change lives of others. Now, you see a lot of abuse doing this type of work. And what qualifies you, in my opinion, please chime in, is that you can recognize it when you see it because you yourself was victim of a lot
yes,
of abuse as well. So you're good and sensitive to when you see it in somebody. Tell me, do it seem as if it's getting worse or better? Like, where are we at with as far as foster care? And I know it's still a lot of African American children that need homes, you know. And so, do you see it getting better? Is it getting worse?
it's getting worse.
Uh,
It's getting worse because one thing about foster care, that I have had to personally deal with is back in the day when I was a foster kid, there were no services, there were no funding, there were no real help. Because back then, a lot of stuff that happened was kind of under the table, hush, don't talk about it. It wasn't a big thing. But now, because of the drug epidemic, you know what I mean, and because of the new welfare rules that came about with people not being able to really get, come off the system the proper way, because welfare was a big thing back in the day when I was a child. I'm a third generation of welfare. God blessed me to break that cycle. And because when they came in with this, okay, cut all the welfare off, make everybody go to work, a lot of women lost their children because they just didn't have the means to go from a welfare check to work because they didn't even have a lot of resources. So the foster care back then was different. It was terrible, but it was not as bad as it is now because it's so many kids. It's so much of a caseload on every worker, and a lot of workers are in it, and they're not in it for the children. They're in it for a job, and they don't have no passion or no concern or no real care. In the state programs now for the new funding, because there's a lot of money in it now,
mm,
and they have, when I was a foster kid, the county was headed, the foster care. The state sued them because kids were, being neglected. Really, the truth is, we had more workers back in the day that cared. Problem is, they didn't have the resources to help those families, so they had a too big of a caseload. They had no real resource to help the families get back together. So now you got all the resources, you got all of the funding, but you got caseworkers who don't care. You got judges who sit up in the bench who really don't even know if those workers are telling the truth, who don't care to even know if the parents or the children's rights are being violated, which is happening. And basically now you got private agencies that are now over children and the cares of the children that are working with CPS and the courts. And these workers are unchecked. These agencies don't have a big government brother watching them to make sure that everything goes the way it should. There is a shorter time for kids going back home now. You have 15 months to get your life and your family back in order, or they're gone. They're adopted.
yeah,
That wasn't so when I was a child.
so the city plays an intricate part in this, and it seems as if it just like you said, it's money driven, and so because the money's there, they privatized it. It seemed like you see, because a lot of these private agencies are getting their hands on it because it's money behind it. but nothing is getting resolved. It's just like this machine, a revolving door, and they just want the money, and none of the real people are being treated as far as being resolved, as far as getting the help that they need. Now, as a result of your witnessing this and being a victim of it, you say that your organization has created some services. What are some of the services that your organization has created?
Well, one we started out with, where a passion with mine is because my grandchildren were a victim of this. With my daughter was unable to care for her two children, and I dealt with the foster care. And the part that I felt needed so much attention and care was the children and the parents having supervised visits, and having a person that understood the pain that a child and a mother or father would face when they're separated and they get to come together just for a few hours or just a short time to be able to express the love that they have for each other, to be able to console one another, and to be able to keep each other strong until the next visit, until they get back home. And so I started a supervised visit program to be able to do that now, to be able to be compassionate, because I know it. And I want I don't, a lot of times with my granddaughters, when I went to visit them, I was told by the worker, you better not show any kind of signs of emotions. You better not tell them they coming home. You better not make them feel like, there is anything that you going to do to help them out of this. You just go in there, visit them. And that was so hard for me. But because of my grandkids, I did it. But when I walked out of there, and I didn't know my grandbaby saw me, when I walked, as soon as I turned the corner and got out the door from them, I bust out crying. I just wept, and there was nobody there to be there to help me. And then I didn't know my grandbaby saw me, and when she told me, "Mama, I saw you crying," and I just broke down crying with her, and I told her, I'm never gonna let that happen to you again. And I want to be a part of making parents and children feel good about those visits. I want them to be able to know that I'm there for them more than just to supervise and watch them and make sure that they, act right, do right. This is sensitive. This is very, this is matters of the heart. I want to let them express love to each other.
And you had to work with the court system to make that happen. How challenging was that? Was that hard to do?
Well, no, not with this. All I had to do was basically set up the services, make sure I have the proper training, and then connect with the services that they have in place to have agency. Because remember, all of these agencies are private now, so they are not a part of the government. Like they don't have an oversight. So I just connect to their networks and say, here I am. Here's my agency. Here's my hours. Here's my availability to families. I do services in the house with the families or in my office, to whichever they would decide, or I'll go into the community at a park, wherever they choose. So you just have to connect with those agencies. A lot of times they don't want to really connect with outside people, because the fact that also within my agency, I've developed where I am starting a program to help foster children and parents know their rights. I want them to know their rights, and then I'm giving them tools and agencies numbers in different places that they can be able to say, hey, my rights are being violated. This is happening to me, and get something done about it.
Yes.
So that they can be heard.
So talk a little bit about your other organization, Peace and Sons and Daughters. Talk a little bit about that.
That is another wonderful part. That is a ministry, outreach ministry, because I'm an evangelist, and I'm not in the building type person. I'm more in the streets at your home, and that's where I kind of do the work of God. That's where I am most effective. And so I basically started this because there was a lot of people that needed food, and I was always just, here, dropping groceries here and there. A lot of people that needed, counseling, just wanted somebody to talk to, wanted somebody to be there to go to court with them, or to deal with the domestic violence. Didn't have nobody that they can talk to. So I started that because it was just so many people, and everybody was like, why don't you do this? Why don't you, So it just became a big thing that every Sunday after church, I began to drop off food to different people's homes. So it started like that. Some people were homeless. I mean, I had a person that needed somewhere for her in a car. So
Yeah.
I took the kids and let them stay at my house just to keep them safe and took them to school. So it was just, that's how it started. And it's just, now I'm taking it to the next level because I want to help a bigger, more, variety of people.
Yeah, and it seemed like the sons and daughter ministry as well as the foster care ministry, it aligns, it goes hand in hand because a lot of people you visit with and helping to get the visitation to meet with, they need that type of ministry and that type of care. So it's like you using it all together. So that's wonderful as well. So I want to make sure you get all of the services out there that you created, the visiting and what other services you created under the foster care organization you have.
Well,
The visiting.
it started out, I got a professional advocacy LLC.
History.
I became an advocate just
Advocate.
by people needing help.
Yeah.
And especially with the elderly, that's
Yeah.
been a project of mine that I just go to church or have people in the community and they'll be like, I need help with my housing. I had an elderly lady who was being harassed by another tenant. A Caucasian lady was just harassing this lady, this African American lady, older lady, 75 years old, and she didn't have a voice. She was trying, but it wasn't working. So I stepped in because they were going to evict her over allegations that were not true. I
Mhm.
was able to show that these allegations were unfounded.
Mhm.
We had a meeting, and that's been 3 years ago. She's been able to stay there. They don't bother her anymore. And other people in the senior building she live in now calls me for, oh, I didn't get my food stamps, or I need help getting to the store for my medication. I have one elderly lady whose daughter was taking advantage of her, and she needed a power of attorney.
Mhm.
So I partnered over with Senior Law, and they helped me to become her power of attorney to do what her wishes is in
Wow.
case she's not able to do that because her family, she just can't rely on them and she can't trust them with her life.
Wow. So you have families under the foster care visiting with their families, advocacy. You are also empowering people by knowing their rights, as well as you working with the aging and the sons of ministry, sons and daughter ministry, where you teaching spiritual, emotional empowerment and dynamics through the Word of God. And so, did we leave anything out? I just want to make sure we put everything out there because all of this go hand in hand, and it just seems like it's growing, and it seems like you're just meeting the need wherever it may be, And it just seems like you're just going to keep going with this, but it's wonderful. What type of help or partnering have you obtained yet?
Can you say that again? I'm
What
sorry.
type of help? Have you partnered with anybody else, a bigger agency? Have you got any help? Are you doing this alone?
I
You
do
got
this alone. I do this
wow.
alone. I don't have any help. I use my resources that I have, monies that I have. I monetarily use my own resources to help. I mean, it's not that easy getting involved in, getting help from different organizations or the government or just different, it's just not something because I'm in the streets. I'm in the streets, so people don't really like that type of ministry to, partner with, because one, it's like they don't really want to be affiliated with the. It's a lot of street people, a lot of needs, and people do have a lot of needs, and a lot of times people are afraid of it. They don't understand it. I try to help people understand, but a lot of times they look at the average building, the order of the church and how it's ran, and they look at that, and that's more easier to assist.
Well,
You know,
that's a good question as well because what about your church? Have your church recognized what you've been doing? Have they offered to sponsor you in any type of way? The church that you attend?
yes, at the church that I attend, they assist me with the food at the food pantry. This church, it's a really nice church, and they basically, started out trying to make me take food boxes. I was like, I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
said, I'm okay. And they like, oh no, Sister Mary, you got to take it. And so I started saying, like, I need to help this particular family is calling me. Can I help them? And they said, sure, take them, you know, because this is a suburban church where I live in a suburban area.
Yeah.
So I take it to the inner city, to homes, you know, to the homes that are requesting it, and I just donate them. And that's what I've been doing, you know.
What type of feedback have you gotten from the people you've been serving? Any reports of good reports that you've gotten back?
Yeah, I have. A lot of people be in situations where they, you know, will say, hey, because they get meat. And I'm talking about, I took one box to a lady and her brother. I took them both boxes, and they was like, this a meat deal. This ain't no food. I mean, it was so much meat in there, you know, and most of the time they don't, you know, you don't get that. So it was milk, it was meat, it was all kind of stuff that you can make meals, and you can do other things. It was breakfast food, it was bacon, it was, you know, eggs, and, you know, salad, and just different vegetables and fruit. And they were like, oh my, this is a food pantry food, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know. So, and then I go to the store and get toiletry and put that in so that we can have, you know, because you never know, you know what I mean? Sometimes people are out of tissue, they need shampoo, soap, deodorant, you know, toothpaste, you know, toothbrush. And so, you know, it just be a nice little box, and they love it. They love it. They be looking for them. They like, can we get it before Sunday?
So what is the long-term goal for your organization? What is the vision? Where you see where you want to go? What's the goal that you would like to, for God to like to flourish it to become?
Well, what I would like it to become is a place where families can find refuge, and that they can come there and bring their broken pieces and say, hey, help me get this put back together. Whether you guilty or not, whatever your situation is, I want to be able to have a way to support them, whether it be in the home with cooking, cleaning, whether it be to, you know, make sure they have proper bedding, you know, just to be able to have it where I can service the foster children themselves, to have them come to conferences where they can sit and discuss how they're feeling, to be able to, you know, I want to help the children themselves. I want to be able to, you know, touch those children's lives and be able to have them converse with me so that they can deal with the process and be able to, you know, go through it until they go home. And even to help those who are not going back home, because I was one that never went back home. So I want to help them to deal with that without getting in trouble or hurting themselves during that process. So I want to be able to, you know, get more hands-on with them. And then one day I really am wanting to get some land and have a facility on it to have kids come there and live and have a day a camping. Because most children in any city never get to go to camp. I want to have the nature, the life of something away from the streets and all of the stuff out there, just to have them somewhere that they can grow, that their parents can say, well, I can't afford to send my kids to camp, but they can come where we are and have an experience of camp and get that love and nurturing outside of just the inner city with nothing to do, something to grow them, to help them and their families. So I really want to do it, and I want to be able to have more food, you know, a food pantry to just really distribute food on a more regular basis. I would like to be able to have a place where they can take showers and, you know, just have a place to sit, talk,
Yeah.
just a little place
A
where they can
full
talk.
facility that they can have to be a space that you can create just for them.
Yes, I really want to, because I was homeless through my divorce a year ago. I was homeless. I was homeless twice. So my grandkids were with me. You know, I got guardianship of them, and that my granddaughter always now we ride and she said, "Mama, we got to go back and help them." You know, and it's become a thing for our family.
Yes.
And I want to be able to provide housing, you know, for people who have nowhere to live. I was divorced and I lost everything through my divorce. I had to walk away. It was domestic violence, and I had to get out, and I wasn't going to stay. And if being homeless means just getting away, that's what I had to do until life got better for me. So
No, that's amazing what you're doing. I definitely want to encourage you to keep going. It can only get better from here. I think once you start to partner with more and more people, there's a lot of organizations out there that will sponsor and partner. I think starting with the church is definitely a beginning. And
yes.
from there, definitely partner with companies and corporations that has the similar mission to reach and do what you're doing, because with their help, it only could grow until getting, achieving what your vision is. And so with help, you can get there. It's a project. It's an organization here that deals with foster youth called For Her Project. So definitely,
Oh,
once you connect with them, look on my website. I interviewed them, and their information is on my website, because what Philanthropy at its best is going to be. This is our third season, which is the virtual because of the pandemic.
okay.
It's building a pipeline and a database for humanitarians and all the nonprofit organizations, that is changing lives like yourself. And so after a while, it's going to be this whole resource database of people that are on the front line that are really changing lives, which is what's needed right now. And so I covered them, I think, a year or so ago For Her Project, and they're here in California, and they're doing similar work. So last times you can, learn from them. They have the structure already set up, and so
Right.
they might be doing what you're trying to do, and to help you. So it'd be good to partner with them because they're a young organization. These two girls are ex-foster kids and homeless kids, and they're doing a wonderful work, and they're young, like
Wow.
whatever, and it's amazing. So you definitely can team up with them. And
Yes.
so I would love for you to conclude and just say what you feel like you haven't said, and definitely give your social media handles, and we're going to end with that. And of course, I'll end with my endings. So go. What's
Okay.
your what you like to say that you haven't said yet?
Say that again. I could not
What
hear
would you
you.
like to say that you haven't said already, like to conclude?
Well, one thing I want to say is that I would like for each individual to, bring more awareness to uh, the foster care, the needs of foster children. A lot of parents are not bad. A lot of parents are just without resources. Some people don't have family. I was one where I was a teen mother. I was pregnant at 12, 13. I had a baby. I was abused from a child as a child. So I was just in the streets. I didn't really have no help. And so I would, sometimes people don't know that you're not a bad person. I didn't have anybody to help me to know what to do, how to do it, And, I was just fortunate that God was just in my life to where, he was just directing me and I listened. But some people are not there. So when you see them, I want people to be more aware to see if you see somebody in trouble, kind of help them out if you can, because that help will keep people from falling a victim and their children victims. When I was a child, the most important thing, when my mother was schizophrenic, she could not help herself. And people could help us, but they would look and say, oh, they pitiful. And they wouldn't have, it would just be a blessing if I could get a toothbrush. Or if my mom could just get somebody to comb my hair, or just if it would hurt you to go to the Goodwill and if you see the kids need a few clothes or a coat, help them, because that will keep a child at home.
Yes.
Because a teacher could see that and report her, and all she needs is some help.
Yes.
And it could just, it could just be minor stuff that
Yes.
can help. And
Yes.
so that's what my main thing is. I want people to just start looking in your own community, the people around you, in your family. And if you see a need, just help them. My logo is being a blessing on purpose.
That's, being a blessing on purpose. I love it.
Just
I love it. That's
being a
good.
blessing on purpose. No reason.
No reason. That's
No
it.
reason.
That's it. That's the key, because you have to stop looking for the reward as far as me. If I do this, what should I get back? That's not what it's about. It's about doing it because it's the right thing to do, and don't look for nothing. And
Right.
so that's the reward within itself. And so
Right.
that's a beautiful thing with purpose, for no reason. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So thank you so much for definitely doing this. And like I said, reach out to For Her Project. It's on my website, and the
Okay.
information is on my website as far as their website and stuff like that. And I just continue to do what you're doing. And thank you guys so much for joining for that interview with
Thank
the Mary Angel sons and daughter
you. A virtue
organization,
outreach ministry.
and then the foster care one is called
Professional Advocacy LLC.
Professional Advocacy LLC. And
Yeah.
definitely reach out to her on her social media handles, which is
It's Mary Angel on Facebook, and then on Instagram it's Mary Angel 12, and you can reach me on my website, Mary Angel, and it's .weebly.com. And you know, if you want to donate, it's Mary Angel 12. That's my Cash App. If you want to donate, and so I'm just looking forward to us being a blessing on purpose.
Being a blessing on purpose. That's it. Thank you so much. And Philanthropy at its best also on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, James Clayton Interviews, my website, KingSolomonEntertainment.tv. And continue to support, like, subscribe, definitely reach out. And people that are making the difference, humanitarian and philanthropy efforts, changing lives one person at a time. And also to support this entertainment company directly, Cash Out, Zelle, Venmo, as well as what's the other one? But all of King Solomon Entertainment Company. Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure. We definitely keep in touch and continue to just doing what you're doing, and God gonna do the rest. You know.
Amen.
Thank
And
you
thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
God bless you.
All right, you
Bye
too.
bye.
All right, bye bye.